What's good, folks? So we recently had Gigantamax Max Battle Weekend with Charizard, Venusaur and Blastoise. And for me, it was definitely a mixed bag of emotions. Definitely a lot of good from it and some bad. Let me know down in the comments how it all went for you. But I also definitely did have a fun time. So let's briefly discuss the good and bad points, including the changes that Niantic are bringing, because they are listening and they have confirmed changes, and then we can prepare for Gigantamax Gengar, which is almost here. Okay, so the good stuff. It is definitely a fun new mechanic in my opinion, and obviously everything I'm going to say now is just my opinion and what I've witnessed from doing these battles with my local raid group, but it is genuinely a fun mechanic, and this new mechanic, for me, it does keep the game interesting. Dynamax and definitely Gigantamax Pokemon definitely look very cool in my opinion, and the designs are pretty epic. It was genuinely rewarding taking down these Gigantamax Pokemon with my friends, but I know a lot of people were saying it was too difficult, so I could understand why some players might not enjoy the challenging aspect of some of these battles, and they need to then tweak the difficulty. And another good point is it obviously adds more points of interest in the game, so there's more to do in the game now as well. And let's talk about some of the bad points then. Rural players are definitely drawing the short straw with this new mechanic, as it definitely requires a lot of players, especially if players haven't powered up their Dynamax Pokemon. You definitely need to power up those Dynamax Pokemon to at least level 40 and equip the right moves, otherwise you're going to struggle. And so you definitely need a lot of players for these battles, and if you're a rural player, then yeah, you're probably going to struggle to get enough numbers to do these battles. You have to invest a lot of Stardust. You have to power up some of these Pokemon to be able to fight the Gigantamax Pokemon. And the Dynamax Pokemon are kind of obsolete compared to the Gigantamax Pokemon. So it is annoying then that you have to invest so much Stardust into the Dynamax ones just to acquire the Gigantamax ones. And yeah, you're going to use up a lot of Stardust. Another annoying thing is everyone has to be there, right? You can't remote raid, so everyone also has to be there in person. Maybe in the future they might tweak that, but I don't think they will. I think Niantic wants players to be out and about. They don't want the same thing to happen that happened with regular raids. I don't think they will introduce any way to remote raid these. On the flip side, it does encourage people to meet up. It does encourage community, and I'm all for that as well. I love raiding and I love meeting up with players and going around and doing different battles. It is genuinely a fun and enjoyable experience. Now, myself and a lot of other players did struggle to catch these. For me, I ended up almost having one run from me. For players in my raid group, they did end up running from them. The catch rate is too high for sure, but we'll go on to talking about that in a sec, because Niantic has fixed some of these issues going forward, including the rewards as well. So in my opinion, the rewards have been lackluster, and also that 200 gold at the end that you can pay to improve your rewards, I think is ridiculous, and it's definitely a rip-off. But Niantic have kind of tweaked the rewards as well, so let's get into the changes. Oh, and one more thing, it's bad or good depending on how you look at it, but because this is its own separate thing, Dynamax Pokemon and Gigantamax Pokemon can only be used in max battles. That is kind of annoying, as it's its own separate mechanic. So I think hopefully going forward Niantic also tweak that, a bit like when we had Mega Pokemon. They weren't very useful at first, but over time they gave us bonuses when we activate them now, such as XP and Candy. So I'm hoping in the future they do that as well, do something to make Gigantamax and Dynamax more useful, because obviously right now you can only use them in max battles. Alright, so changes are coming. Starting off with the rewards, Niantic have confirmed that at the reward screen, you will receive 25k Stardust. I think that's excellent, as this weekend definitely rinsed me for Stardust. And one thing I thought to myself, how am I going to get all this Stardust back? Especially if Gigantamax Gengar's coming. I need to power up more things for that as well. So 25k Stardust at the end of these max battles is going to be nice. Another thing they have confirmed is that they're going to be reducing the difficulty for these Gigantamax battles. How much so remains to be seen, of course. I'm hoping it's going to be enough so that they are going to be still a little bit challenging, but not so crazy difficult. The weekend just passed with these Gigantamax, Charizard, Venusaur, and Blastoise. We literally spent what was an hour and a half taking down one of each because we kept on failing it. Then we had to tweak our strategy, had to power up stuff more, ensuring everyone in the group was powering up their Pokemon more and more so we could take down these Gigantamax mons. So I definitely do think that although the challenge can be fun going forward, I'm glad they're going to be changing the difficulty on these. And another thing that they have confirmed is they are tweaking the catch rate. So you are going to have better odds to capture Gigantamax Gengar, which I think is good as well, as a lot of players have been struggling to catch these, even with Golden Raz and excellent throws, right? I was doing that every single time, sometimes capturing these things on the last ball or second to last ball. So I'm definitely glad that they are tweaking that.
Alright folks, so October 31st at 10 AM to November 3rd at 8 PM local time is going to be Gigantamax Gengar with that shiny chance. So yeah, definitely worth raiding if you have the local community and hopefully some Dynamax or Gigantamax Pokemon ready for it. So let's talk about what you'll need. So you've definitely got quite a few options. Gigantamax Gengar is going to be weak to those ghost type moves, so having a Gengar going up against it is going to be helpful. And the thing about these battles is that you can swap out Pokemon to one of your other Pokemon quite fast and easily. In fact, it is quite a solid strategy. So what you can do is have two tanks on your team to tank the hits and build that Dynamax meter, and then swap into Gengar when the meter is almost full. And then when that Gengar Dynamaxes, and you can hit it with super effective ghost moves. And then once you've used those three moves up, you swap back into your tanks, you build meter again, rinse and repeat. So definitely worth having a Gengar on the team. But what about your other two options? Well, Blastoise and Greedent are two very good tanks that you could bring along, both of which have access to dark type moves. Blastoise has Bite as a move, so does Greedent, and Greedent also has Crunch. So I think these two Pokemon will make excellent tanks to build meter up against Gigantamax Gengar, and then you can swap into the Gengar that you have on your team whenever it's time to Dynamax. Greedent is actually a pretty decent Pokemon. Not only does it have access to Bite and Crunch, but it's also a normal type, which means it's immune to ghost type attacks. Obviously, fingers crossed that Gengar doesn't have Focus Blast, because normal types are obviously weak to fighting type moves. And remember, whatever fast move a Dynamax Pokemon has will dictate its charge move. And so with Blastoise and Greedent, if you have a dark type fast move, then its max move is gonna be a dark type move as well. And obviously Gengar is going to be weak to those dark type moves. Unlike raids, there are a lot of different strategies that you can do in these max battles. It's one of the reasons actually why I quite enjoy them, as they do require a different thought process than just hitting attack during a normal raid battle, and make the most out of your shields and heals, and talk to your teammates, hopefully come up with some kind of strategy, who's going to heal, who's going to shield and to try and tank those hits and build meter, and who's just going to wallop the Gigantamax Pokemon with 3 of those max moves in a row. But definitely strategize, and it is important to use those shields, use those heals effectively, tank with your Pokemon that are meant to tank the hits, and then swap in to that glass cannon to fire off those attacks when the time comes to Gigantamax or Dynamax. That's about it from me though, folks. Let me know down below, are you excited for Gigantamax Gengar? Is this going to be a miss for you? What did you think about the Gigantamax Pokemon weekend that we just had with Charizard, Blastoise and Venusaur? If you made it this far, please lick slap that like button, as it is much appreciated. And as always, everyone please take care and catch you all in the next one.